All right. Well, good morning, and thank you all for taking time out of your day to attend this exclusive webinar. We are thrilled to work with you. My name is Kat, and the purpose of this webinar is to educate you all on the concept of an IUL and how it can better improve your financial journey. We here at Penny Insurance are leading the way as the top life insurance and annuity BGA, and we have been in the business of finding what works best for your budget and your family. We believe an IUL is the best step forward for all of you on this call. Before we dive in, here's what sets us apart from other companies. We have access to top carriers to give you the best policies possible so we can be your one-stop shop for all of your life insurance needs. We also offer top-tier customer support. When you work with us, we guarantee that we can make sure you and your loved ones are protected. And you'll also notice with the next slides, they're going to be a little bit more classy, a little bit more put together. That kind of represents what we are. We are classic. We work with old school advisors that are interested in truly building a lifelong relationship with you. And we are here to help you grow. So let's get that started. I'd like to introduce Christine on this call. She's been in life insurance for many years, and she'll be the one helming this call and answering any questions you may have with this exciting opportunity. With that being said, I'll pass it off to her to get this show on the road.
Thank you, Kat, for the introduction. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Christine Orris. I'm a licensed life insurance advisor here at Penny Insurance, and I've been an agent over 25 years. And what we're going to talk about today, what we call is the responsible parent penalty. So why your child potentially can miss out on thousands of dollars in student aid from the government and from schools and scholarships. So first of all, think about a time where you thought you were doing everything right, you followed conventional wisdom, you thought it was good advice, and it didn't lead you to the expected result. It actually led you to a bad result. So some examples that I thought of is you go to college, you spend that time and effort, you get a comp science degree, you don't have any job prospects. A lot of people in 2008 saved diligently for retirement, and they lost 40% of their assets with the market crash. If you are trying to be healthy, you're doing everything right by the book, you eat more protein in your diet, and you end up gaining weight. So again, these are just examples of where you thought you were doing everything right and it didn't turn out as expected and had a bad result. So in this example, imagine this. Again, here is Shirley. She thought she was doing everything right for her child.
Looks like we can't see your screen, sorry.
Oh, let's see. Can you reshare it again? You see it now?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, here is Shirley. Shirley thought she was doing everything right by the book. Conventional wisdom told her to put her money in a 529 plan to save for her kids' college. Good advice, she thought. It does work for some people. But think about what if this happened. She spent 18 years saving money. She worked a stable office job. She owns her home, has a mortgage. And Shirley's daughter is 18. She's doing amazing in school. She got into the school of her choice for college. It's an out-of-state private school that costs $38,000 a year. Shirley's daughter applied for scholarships and financial aid, but she ended up receiving nothing in financial aid, nothing in scholarships, and she had to take out thousands of student debt. Why did this happen? So the reason for that is financial aid offices, they check your 529 balance before determining student aid. They looked at her account and thought, she's got plenty of money, she doesn't need this. And the reasoning behind that is they feel they should give that money to somebody else more in need. So that's a really important feature of the 529 balance that people don't realize, and it can really hurt you when it comes to your child securing the aid that they need for college. So we call that the responsible parent penalty. You think you're doing everything right, you follow all the rules, you're doing the right thing, and you get punished. So you're darned if you do, darned if you don't, essentially. So we feel a great solution that we recommend to our clients is called an indexed universal life policy. So this is a life insurance financial vehicle that allows you to accumulate cash value that's linked to market performance while at the same time providing life insurance protection. So you still have death benefit protection locked in. Heaven forbid if you pass away, that death benefit is paid out tax-free, so it can help with the college expenses. It can help with paying off a mortgage. It can, medical bills. But the key piece of this is the cash value in an index universal life that you can use for college expenses is generally not counted in federal financial aid formula. So that gives you more control over how and when your assets are considered in major financial decisions. It's much more beneficial. So in other words, you don't get punished for saving. You don't get punished for doing the right thing. You don't get punished for being a good parent. You get rewarded. You were smart. You thought about alternate ways to help your child that really benefits you. So most life insurance that people are familiar with is term insurance. So term insurance, you say pay $100 a month for 20 years. That gives you peace of mind, gives you protection, that death benefit if something were to happen to you. But at the end of the term, all that money is gone. You don't get any of that back. So we always think about is term insurance is similar to renting. So yes, you have a place to live when you rent, you have an apartment, but at the end of that lease, you don't have any ownership in that. There's no accumulation of your savings. Whereas index universal life is permanent, like if you buy a house. So your premiums are added to equity, but they also compound. So it's insurance. Think about it as term insurance. You still have that locked in with a bank account that compounds and grows over time. So your child can inherit and benefit from that. So essentially, you put money into a life insurance policy. It grows an average 4 to 10% every year, and it compounds. That compounding feature really is effective in getting money over time, and you can use that cash value to pay for your child's college expenses. So here's another example. It's still Shirley. Shirley's still the single mom. She puts her money into a cash value life insurance plan this time, an index universal life. So she spent 18 years saving. She's got the stable office job, owns her home, has a mortgage. Her daughter, again, she's doing amazing at school. She gets into her college of choice with that $38,000 a year expense, but this time her daughter gets financial aid and scholarships. So her mom's stream of income can help her with things like housing, books, and so many other things. So she was eligible for that student aid, whereas before with the 529 plan, that disqualified her. And keep in mind the Index Universal Life also has the death benefit protection. So that is very valuable. So in this scenario, for example, heaven forbid Shirley passes away in her daughter's second year of college, but because of the IUL policy she had, her daughter's school is paid in full in cash. Her daughter gets to pay off the mortgage, gets to keep the house, paid in full in cash. Her daughter's able to grieve, but she continue her life in comfort, no debt, pays bills, no worries. So that life insurance protection, death benefit, that's paid out in a lump sum tax-free. That's usually going to be a lot greater than a 529 balance if you pass away. So you can structure it, you can make the death benefit 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. So you know that peace of mind is there. If the worst case scenario, if you were to pass away, that is paid out lump sum tax-free. So she was able to give her daughter financial support and complete security in one policy, the Index Universal Life. And so we do recommend that for our clients. We think it's very valuable. Definitely more tools available to plan for college savings. So we really feel it's a part of a smart, comprehensive financial strategy. We do feel it's still smart to use different investment strategies to diversify, but this is definitely a good planning tool. So some of the amazing features of IULs, the first thing is it's flexible to use for any purpose. If you compare that to a 529 plan, the 529 plan is only for education purposes only. So if you use it for anything else, so you're hit with taxes and penalties, whereas the cash value in an IUL fund, you can use it for anything. You can use it for college, you can use it for retirement, a mortgage, emergencies, your choice. You know, some kids end up don't going to college. You still have access to that money. You want to retire early, you can use that money. You know, there's no age restriction. You don't have to be 60 and above. So it's very flexible. I mean, life happens. If you need a new roof, for example, that money is there for you to use. The other feature that's very important is the IUL has protection against market downturns. So if you think about back in '08 with the stock market crash, those people lost a lot of their money. They were saving for retirement. They were saving for college. It was a 40% overall drop. Whereas with an IUL, it has a guaranteed minimum contract value of 0. That's your floor. So your account can never go below 0. It never loses due to market drops. You can't lose what you've already earned. So that's a huge feature compared to the 529. The other benefit is, as we talked earlier, there's no impact on financial aid. Whereas 529 balances, they check that and they can slash your kids' financial aid. The IUL cash value is generally invisible. They don't look at that, so you can keep you eligible for more help. The other important feature too is it's access to cash value tax-free, whereas with the 529 plan, if you take it out for any other feature besides education, there's taxes and penalties, whereas with the IUL, with the loans, they are tax-free when they're set up correctly, so you can use your money without the IRS taking a huge chunk of that, so you get more money overall. So just to summarize again, the government won't control your account. You're in control of what you use it for. No penalties, tax-free access for any reason. So again, you can use it for college, if you need it for retirement, if you need it, if you want to pass it on to your family as an inheritance, you want to start a business. It's like the Swiss Army knife of financial planning. It's so much more flexible than a 529. The 529, the government is in control of that money. Your child doesn't go to college, too bad. There's taxes, there's penalties, and you just don't want to be in that situation. So let's talk a little bit more about the market loss protection. So 529s are about growing principal through compound interest in the market, right? I mean, that is the basis of how that works. But keep in mind that with the 529 plan, there is no market protection. So we always think about it as like an MRI machine. You see the ups and downs in this chart here. You can see the downside. There are upsides, but then the downsides really take a big hit. Whereas with an IUL policy, we think it more of as a staircase. It either stays the same or it goes up. Again, you never lose any money with that. You always keep your money and it can just grow or stay the same. So that's huge in a market downturn. So the worst case scenario, I mean, what would happen if you put all your money in the market and the year your kid went to college, you lost it all? That tuition is still due. There's no flexibility there. That market downturn can really hurt your investments and your savings. So here's a good chart. It shows you how the different investments can perform. So for example, the red line here shows if you started with $100,000 in 1998, this is the S&P 500. There are some good years, there are some upturns, but you can see the drop. 2002, and then again 2008, 2010, those huge negative drops. If you compare that to the blue line is the minimum guaranteed contract value of an IUL. So you can see how stable that is over time and how much more money you would have. And that's the minimum. It would never go below there. The green line is an example of an IUL and how that performs. So again, the same 100,000, the same time frame. You can see the gains. And then you can see when the bad years here, that green line stayed the same. So again, no loss of money, it stayed level. So you did not take a big hit on that money like you did if you had the traditional investments here. So over time, you can see in 2012 with the IUL, you would have had 191,000 compared to your traditional stock market accounts, 137,000. So that's a huge difference. So realistically, you can expect to see somewhere between the green line and the blue line. The blue line would be worst case scenario. That would be if it held steady, the minimum guaranteed value, but typically you're going to see closer to the green line for performance. And this is another interesting chart. You can see here that with the drops that you experience with the market vitality, it takes a lot to get back to your initial investment. So for example, if you had a 30% loss, you're going to need a 43% gain to get back to the initial value, and that's only to get back to where you started. That's not any gain. So it really needs to perform very strongly to have really any gains over time. And again, the Index Universal Life does not have that up and down. It's always either stable or it goes up. So that's a huge benefit. So again, we're recommending the IUL. It's definitely a smart financial planning tool for college or any other future goals you may have, retirement, paying off your mortgage. So let's talk a little bit about how much it costs. It is life insurance, so keep that in mind. So the growth will depend on how much you put into it. The longer you save, the sooner you start, the more cash value accumulation you will have. And it does depend also on how healthy you are. It's based on age, gender, and income. So it's something you can qualify for. A licensed agent like us here at Penny, we can run the illustrations for you. We can customize a plan for you and make sure it's structured correctly so you can minimize the fees and get the maximum return. So that's what we're here for you to do. So here's an example of what it can look like over time. So in this example, this is for illustration purposes only, hypothetical. Let's say you just had a baby and she is age 0 and you paid $250 a month starting when she's again newborn, and you structure it to where in age 18, you can start taking out loans. So for example, in year 19, you'd have $27,500 available to take out in a tax-free loans that you can use, again, for any purpose. This illustration would be for college expenses. The death benefit, heaven forbid, if you pass away, would be $167,000. So that is still there. Your total cash value that you can take out, you don't have to take it out per year, but if you wanted the whole cash value, that would be a total of just over $91,000. So you can see the more you put into it, the more the death benefit is, the more cash value accumulation it is. $500 monthly premium. Death benefit would be about double, $341,000, and then your loan amount per year would be 56,000 and your total cash value 187. Same concept for the $1,000 a month. Again, that's a good contribution. Your death benefit would be almost 700,000. Cash value total 379,000, and that would allow you to take out 113,000 per year in tax-free loans. This is just a tabular detail of the same situation that we looked at earlier. This is $250 monthly outlay, so $3,000 a year. It kind of gives you year by year the growth of the policy. And then here in year 19 or year 18, you can see the cash value accumulation, 91,000, and your death benefit could be potentially 259,000. And same thing for the $1,000 a month example, just kind of gives you a more visual. Again, in year 18, your death benefit would be over $1 million, and your cash value would be almost 400,000 that you can use. So just to recap, again, if you use a 529, just keep in mind your kid can lose with this. If you need the money early, there's a penalty. You withdraw for anything other than qualified education expenses before college, you'll face taxes and a 10% penalty on earnings. If your kid doesn't go to college, your money's trapped. You have to either repurpose it for another student or pay penalties. Your savings are locked away. Again, the government's in control of that. If you need the money for something else, it's handcuffed for education purposes. If you need home repairs, medical bills, emergencies, you cannot use that for 529 without paying the taxes and penalties. In the market downturn, if your market tanks during school or right before school, that tuition is still due. If your investment drops right before or during withdrawals, that tuition bill is still owed, even if your account takes a hit. So that's a real negative downside of the 529. So here is a QR code. If you want to see the illustrations that we used today in the presentation, you can scan that. Again, these are for illustration purposes only. What we're here to do is we can structure a policy that will be specific to you. It'll give you a more accurate quote, and you can see how the policy will perform over time to give you a more accurate estimate. And here is a link to our calendar. If you want to book an appointment with us, we can talk a little bit about what your needs are. And again, we can run a customized illustration for you. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I just want to open it up and see if anybody has any questions.
All right. Well, if there are no questions, thank you so much for attending this event. Again, it means the world to us, and we look forward to meeting with you should you choose. I hope you have a great day.